Hello everybody, this is Miss Stimpson, and I'm going to show you how to write a summary for a nonfiction article. It's one of the most common assignments that teachers give. They'll ask you to read something from a textbook or from an article, and then ask you to write a summary. It sounds like an easy assignment, but as we all know from having tried to do it, it can be a challenge. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I found a short article from a popular website that teachers will assign assignments from. What I like about this website, and there are others that do this too, but you can actually change the Lexile on this one. So you can match the Lexile from your most recent test, or if you really find that the article is a challenge, you can drop that Lexile down to make sure that you're understanding what it says. There are times too where you might want to try and challenge yourself. Because we're doing this together, we're going to go ahead and leave it at the highest setting and leave it as a challenge. So the first step to writing a summary is to make sure that you read and understand the article. Changing the Lexile is one way that can help you understand what you're reading. Another way is to use text-to-speech features. Canvas has a text-to-speech feature. So does the Scholastic website that you might be getting some magazine articles from. You can put software on your computer that will read almost any text, but the way that I prefer to do it is to read it out loud to myself. It helps me pay attention to what I'm reading, especially if I find that my mind is wandering. So being able to hear the words will aid in comprehension. Another thing to do is to pay attention to external text features. This particular article doesn't have them unless you drop, well, it has some, but it doesn't have all of them unless you drop it down. So external text features that can help are the title, the photographs, the captions, and then headings. And these headings can also help aid in comprehension. So using everything that they have on the page to help you understand what you're reading. Sometimes you use everything that's available to you and you're still struggling to understand, and that's when it's time to reread. It's not uncommon to have to reread something 2 or 3 or even 4 or 5 times to really understand it, especially if it's challenging material. If you find that you're getting frustrated, I tell my students in my classroom to take a little mental break. Close your eyes, take a deep breath before launching into reading something again. But rereading will help you gain comprehension because you'll understand things a little bit better each time that you read them. So now I'm going to read this article out loud. And I'm going to pay special attention to this title. How do you pronounce GIF? Here's the definitive answer. So, and I've got a picture of 2 jars of peanut butter with 2 different words on them. Quick test. How do you pronounce GIF? Okay, now how do you pronounce GIF? If you used a soft G like in jelly to pronounce the popular peanut butter brand, you got it right. If you went with a hard G, like in Goody, for those short shared looping videos, you got that right too. That is according to Giphy. Giphy is the database most of us search through for that perfect image to punctuate our thoughts. Jif is a peanut butter brand. It's part of the J.M. Smucker Company product portfolio. And now I have a picture. It says, if you've ever called a GIF a GIF, we forgive you. To set the GIF jig record straight and spread the news, Jif partnered with Giphy on a marketing campaign. This partnership came just ahead of National Peanut Butter Lovers Day on March 1st. We're teaming up with Giphy to put a lid on this decade-long debate and prove there is only one Jif. It's creamy, delicious peanut butter, not a looping picture you can send to make friends and family laugh, said Jif Vice President of Marketing Rebecca Scheidler in a release. Jif has created a limited run of collectible tongue-in-cheek, specially labeled jars that say GIF right on the front. The jars are being sold online for just under $10 for as long as they last. In his own statement, Giphy founder and CEO Alex Chung says, "Whether you like your G's hard or soft, let's all share some fun and let peanut butter unite us in saying GIF and eating Jif." This rather crunchy pronunciation debate has been going on since 1987. That is when GIFs burst onto the scene. In 2014, President Barack Obama went with the hard G himself in deciding how to pronounce GIF. "That is my official position," he said at the time. As part of the marketing campaign, Giphy created a suite of GIF versus GIF.gif files. The companies are also promoting the GIF versus GIF hashtag. However you choose to pronounce it, the shorthand gift is a tastier name than when it is spelled out as graphics interchange format. Okay, now I've read my article and I'm ready to go on to the second step. And my second step is to take some notes. These notes don't need to be turned into your teacher unless your teacher asks for them. So you can open up any blank document, or you could even use a piece of paper to take your notes. I'm using Google Docs because it saves to the internet. So if I have to move computers, then I still have my work with me. You do need a Gmail account to use it, but I really like it a lot. The first thing that I want you to do is write down the title. Most articles, the title is very important. It will help clue you in on the most important things. This title is "How do you pronounce GIF?" Here's the definitive answer. So even though I have pictures of peanut butter, this title helps me know that GIF is really what this article is about. It's not so much about peanut butter. Now, most ways of writing a summary will tell you that the next step is to write a main idea. And I don't do it that way. I think writing a main idea is a challenge, and I think it's a little bit easier to write my main idea last. So I'm going to start by picking out some details that I think are important from the article. Now, if I go back to the article, almost everything in this article is going to be a detail. So I'm going to have to pay special attention to whether or not it supports the idea about pronouncing GIF, because that seems to be what what the title is drawing me to. So if I scroll down, this whole first part of the article explains how to pronounce it. And since that's what the title is, I think that's an important detail to include. So for my first detail, I'm going to say Jif is a brand of peanut butter and is pronounced with a soft G like jelly. GIF has a hard G like goody. I don't have to limit my detail to just one sentence. I've got two sentences here that relate to one another. Now I'm going to go back to my article. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more and look for something else that I think is important. And here I have a detail that I think is really interesting. This is about National Peanut Butter Lovers Day, and I love peanut butter, so that really stood out to me. Sorry that I missed it. It was last month. But I have to think for a minute and realize that this detail is really about peanut butter, and it's maybe not one of the most important details in this article, so I'm actually not going to include it, even though I think it's pretty interesting. Instead, I'm going to scroll down a bit more and look for something else that I think is important or interesting. And here I have a detail that GIFs have been around since 1987, and that people have been debating how to pronounce GIFs since 1987. So again, this has to do with pronunciation, and it's an interesting detail. So I'm going to go up and include that GIFs were created in 1987, and people have debated the pronunciation since then. Then I'm going to go back to my article. And right here I have another detail that has to do with pronouncing GIF. And that's that in 2014, President Obama went with the hard G. And it turns out he was right. So I would say in 2014, President Obama pronounced GIF with a hard G. Now, when you do this, you might choose 3 different details, but hopefully all those details would have something to do with pronouncing GIF, since that's what our title tells us we should be paying attention to. Now that I have the title and I have those details, the next step is to review the information that I have and come up with a main idea. So definitely I need to talk about pronouncing the word GIF. So I might say, you can remember how to pronounce GIF if you remember that it is different from GIF. That would be one way to write the main idea. I might also start with the word Jif. So the peanut butter company Jif had a campaign to teach people how to pronounce GIF. So I can write that main idea in more than one way. It doesn't have to, there's not one correct way to do it. But again, I've got the word GIF in my main idea, and pronunciation of that word is the most important idea. When you're writing your main idea, ask yourself, what does the author really want you to remember? And in this case, it's that GIF is pronounced differently than GIF. The last step is to write my summary, and this is the part that you're going to send to your teacher. And now it's really easy because we're going to start with our main idea and include our details. And I've done that right here. As I wrote my summary, I changed the words a little bit just to make sure that I had it in my own words, and I'll just read the summaries that I came up with. The peanut butter company Jif has a campaign to teach people how to pronounce the word GIF. Jif is pronounced with a soft G and GIF has a hard G. People have debated the pronunciation of GIF since 1987. President Obama got it right in 2014 when he pronounced it with a hard G. So that last step turns out to be the easiest step because you've thought through everything and done the hard work ahead of time. So best of luck to you in writing your summaries, and I hope that this strategy helps.